Why are you looking at me like that? You look like a thief just turned up on your doorstep. I honestly didn't expect to see you here. Or, well, to be exact, I knew you would come here eventually, but I didn't expect it would be this soon. You had such a sour expression when we talked, but you actually liked me, didn't you? What the heck? You know, I don't have any true contact with the lives of the people from the backstreets, nor the pain they go through. Perhaps I have been living a more affluent yet cowardly life compared to them. From that I've always felt so ashamed of everything, even to be graced by a small ray of sunshine. It wasn't always all that rough. I understand that it must have been a hard decision to come here, so thank you. Sooner or later, we will have to deal with unexpected hardships here. There are just too many problems to try and solve in peaceful ways. The real reason I chose to speak to you out of all the other syndicates or fixers that day was actually because of something rather trivial. What was it? If we're being honest, I thought I could barter with you for cheaper prices. Looks like it was a mistake to come here. I'll be going now. Please, hear me out. I saw you pay for the funeral expenses of an old lady whom you didn't even know. I truly admired your kindness, and I even looked forward to seeing it myself. Corpses can cause an entire alleyway to be infested with vermin if they aren't buried properly. Besides, I just wanted to repay her for treating me to meals a couple of times. Understand, I've never been close to being a kind person my entire life. Why do you keep smiling? Dang it. Just happy to be great at discerning the best of the best. Carmen could back up what she said. She truly did have a sharp eye for people. The tale of how she built her reputation could fill a chronicle of history books and then some. The only problem was that Carmen was too wrapped up with taking care of others. She never had a moment to take good care of herself. We were on such a delightful upturn back then, it's almost cruel to bring those memories back up to... We were flying towards a limitless world that never seemed to end. By the way, who's the guy glaring at me? Oh, that's A. He just always has a serious look on his face. I beg of you, please protect the people here. I know I can trust you with this. From the past to the present, abnormalities have wandered the facility, killing numerous people. Despite my reputation, there were too many things that I just couldn't save. When I think about it, my entire life was far from one injustice. You probably wouldn't know much about the back streets, seeing as you stayed in the nest your whole life. Those streets were a place where there was no need for justice, morality, or any other pedestals like those. If you've never been there before, you wouldn't understand how agonizing and miserable the stories of people who live there are. How they are robbed of the chance to live a legitimate life, how unfair and unjust life is there. All I learned there was how to survive this miserable existence. But Carmen told me she wouldn't give up on anyone, even people like us. She also told us that the weak who had willing spirits could someday possess enough power to cut off the head. It was such an absurd and ridiculous thing to say. Why couldn't I just keep it on with how my life was before? I'm not smart enough for all those complicated calculations. I can't even write a logical or coherent report. The only thing I was able to do was draw my sword against those who opposed us. All my life I only used my skills for my own survival, but that day, I had never felt more proud to be able to protect others. However, I wasn't able to protect anybody in the end. That cut me deeply. I was filled with anger and lost my mind for it. Ultimately, he did manage to protect someone though, me and B. True. You and that other person survived thanks to me. I thought I had lost Carmen's will forever. But after all said and done, I had to have carried that will and all the way here somehow, right? I feel like I can catch a bit of breath now. When we first reawakened at Metal, we could feel the exact moment our final breath stopped, lodged into us like glass shards. Stupidly, I woke up with only rage left in my heart for the abnormalities. You miss her, right? I do too. I don't think she'll ever come back. We'll never get to see her shameless smile ever again, the one that made even people like me follow her, or the light that radiated from her, flowing so much that one couldn't hold all of it with both hands. But her will and promise will always remain the same, even after an eternity has passed. It will be a place where she can live on, even after death. If you happen to remember it, please tell me. Tell me the gift she left behind for us. We have the courage to protect. The seed of light is 60% germinated. Oh, I was recalling the sound of your footsteps. While there were cliches, you sometimes made the results more exciting by acting in unexpected ways. Still, the endings are all the same, no matter how the process went. Do you want me to share some memories through a hologram? It's simply too good for me to watch alone. This here was you in a mess when there was no such thing as a cognition filter. I didn't know that a human's mental capacity could be so weak back then. You did alright the first couple of times, but then one day... Well, at that time, it was a little funny. I'm sorry. You made it so far, but you weren't able to escape from that absolutely useless sense of guilt and hung yourself. Well, you were stopped immediately, though. Then, at this time, you were not fully prepared. That's when I started to realize that it didn't matter if you were mentally whole or not. What mattered was that you needed to find realization about something to stop this endless cycle. Oh, at this time here, all of a sudden you began apologizing to me. That was... I didn't enjoy it. Can you stop the holograms, please? Is it difficult? Please understand. You should know that I don't have much entertainment that I can enjoy. Really, you should have left me as something to pass the time with. Are we managing to get closer to our goal? On the contrary to what people say, it appears that aging does not necessarily bring greater wisdom. Just look at this old man, going through what feels like an endless cycle of intermittent greed, the obsession over things that have passed, pointless regret, now trapped in a routine of staring at the iron hands of time without reason. By the way, I have always wanted to ask you something. I noticed you wear a sad expression on your face each time one of your employees died. Just as I have become an old man, no human being is free from the cycle of life and death. As our research was to cure the disease, not to live forever. How about an example? Do you remember that one employee, the one who was nice and upfront with you? He passed away recently. When he received the letter that he was accepted into Lobotomy Corporation, he never would have expected to meet such a futile demise. If I wanted, I could have brought him back to you. But I did not. It is in the order of this place that an empty spot shall always be soon be filled. Did you finally discover the secret of this place? Lives are trivial here. The tenuous hold in life can be severed so easily, and yet may come back as if nothing happened. We reached a point in which we don't even need to mourn their deaths. An employee who died just yesterday may come back from my simple call, yet another employee may never open their eyes again from a single wave of my hand. That is what death means here, eh? It is neither honorable nor noble, nor is it miserable and cruel like we may think it to be. So please, don't punish yourself too much. I do not wish to see you suffer from such a personal and insignificant thing. For the future will bring you much more pain to bear. And now it's 5 more employees with Prudence 100 or more. Which again, we meet... Definitely. I'm gonna expand records again just to get their last upgrade faster. Because we have all the Bina upgrades we care about. All 1 of them. And it's about to be all 2 of them, because I actually do like the Ego Gift upgrade. And just as a reminder, we are alternating just to be able to finish the game. In one loop. So now, we can extract 1 more ego from every abnormality, unless they would already were able to have 5 or more extracted. And also Gebura stuff came out then. This is really strong, because what it functionally means that you can get 1 more of each Aleph. Except for Twilight, because you don't extract Twilight, you get it for beating a boss. Or taking the improved ego gift chance. So, for example, if I had enough materials to make another of the censored weapon, we could make it right now. It's very good. And as you can see, our ego list, we have a lot of stuff we can manufacture more of now. That's important. Especially Justicia, because we can make a full set of that again. The Burrowing Heaven is a wall level abnormality that does black damage. It prefers having repression and attachment works done to it, and it's a good trainer for both of them. It has a quill health counter of 3, which depletes every 10 seconds while you are working on it, as long as it is off screen. Therefore, while we're working on it, it's important to keep it on screen. You can just zoom out and to work on other things while you're doing this. Additionally, while it is off screen, its success rate for anything is 0%. Its quill health counter will increase on a 1 on a normal result and on a 2 on a good result. If its quill health counter hits 0, it will instantly kill whoever's working on it and then breach. While it is breaching, if it is off screen, it will teleport to a room every 3 seconds and inflict heavy 150 black damage to every employee in the room that it arrives in. I mean that it leaves. It cannot move as long as it is on screen, so just get it on screen immediately and then beat it to death. It's a pretty simple suppression. It's an excellent choice for the wall suppression mission. Assuming you can have it melt down, because releasing it normally does involve sacrificing an employee to it. Its gear is good but not great. Its weapon is a red damage spear, that is average stats for a spear, and its suit has a red weakness but is heavily resistant to black, which is very good. The red weakness doesn't really matter as much anymore because the reason why we were so concerned about red in the early game was because of Green Noon. Green Noon is not a threat anymore, and consequently red is just another number. Now the most important number is black, which his suit does heavily resist. Burrowing Heaven's a good choice because of how easy it is to not have it breach. As long as you remember what its gimmick is, you'll be fine. So Chested Suppression is unique among suppressions because it gives you a unique UI element, and I just used unique 2 times in a sentence because I am not great at this. But essentially, if you notice, there's a giant cross in the center top of the screen with Chested's eye in it. That's what I've been trying to say. And it has R, W, B, and P written on it. These are for the 4 different damage types. Right now, as B is highlighted, this means that all black damage is multiplied by 4 that your employees take. Essentially, the way around this is just not work with abnormalities that do black damage. Consequently, I play this day kind of slow because I'm being careful. You don't want to press on to it. The damage type that's being multiplied changes every meltdown, and the number slowly will increase over the day, so eventually 3 are being multiplied. We have abnormalities of each different damage type though, so we should be fine. The major threat on Chested Suppression is the ordeals, not the abnormalities, because you can't control what ordeals you engage. And if you're unlucky, Dusk will spawn, and you have to fight that, and you'll have to deal with it. You can try to ignore it. That is how I beat out my first playthrough. Green Dusk spawned under red multiply. I just ignored it and finished all the work because I had everyone move up to control so they wouldn't die. However, if you're lucky, you won't even have to deal with Dusk at all. Anyway, first ordeal is not A, it's not even being multiplied because red and pale are being multiplied, and it's a black damage ordeal, and B, it's really easy because it's a dawn ordeal, so not really a threat. When you're pushing onto new meltdown levels like this, you want to be working with a simple abnormality, like a Teth or a Zayn or an HE. This is so that your employees working on it won't die. Obviously I wouldn't throw a newbie at all into work when I'm pushing onto a new level. It's very easy to have employees die when once they're working on suddenly has its damage multiplied by 4 if you're not being careful. Like if I was working in a left to train somebody or something like that. I actually have had people die doing that on other attempts at this suppression, just not in this playthrough, because I remembered that, unlike my first playthrough. This actually was my first run through this suppression. Unlike the other middle layer suppressions, I only took 1 try. I still think it's harder than Tiferet, so I'd also say it's harder than HODS, just because I feel like the damage type screws you more with ordeals than HODS stat lowering does. Because it's difficult to get around, say, Green Noon suddenly doing 10 damage per hit with its chainsaw instead of 2. And remember, Green Noon already did a lot of damage and was doing 2 damage per hit with its chainsaw. But if you get lucky, it's not as big of a deal as HODS. I don't know, it depends. They're pretty close together in terms of difficulty. It's definitely easier than Gebura's, though. Wiping out employees just in case I get to Dusk. And by employees, I mean clerks, more specifically. A lot of pausing just to make sure I don't shoot agents with the execution bullets because they would also die if I hit them. In general, the clerks you want to save for last are safety, central, extraction, and welfare. This is because they have like by far the most beneficial effects. The other clerks mostly just boost stats, which we have like ridiculously high stats at this point in the game. We don't need to worry about the stats anymore. Safety increases the health you get from the regenerators, which is always useful, because it means less time waiting for people to heal up and between works, and better fighting, because now the generators will always be running in every room, even while we're fighting, thanks to all the NetSack upgrades we've gotten. Central gives you more time to work on meltdowns, which is always nice. And I believe it increases it from 60 seconds to 70 seconds when you have all the clerks alive. Welfare gives you more bullets, which is also just generically nice. And then Extraction decreases the price of eco equipment, which is just good to have. Right now it's, I believe, at level 1, which would decrease Censored's equipment from 222 to 214, or something like that. It's not a massive bonus, but it's just something you want when you're trying to buy equipment, which is pretty much always in this game. The state does have the secondary goals of finishing the information for Skin Prophecy, because you didn't get any of it during the Gebura suppression, and Burrowing Heaven. We're working on Burrowing Heaven's information right now because black isn't being highlighted. That's why the screen zoomed out like this, so Burrowing Heaven remains on screen. I can use Burrowing Heaven to train up Justice and Temperance for people in records too while I'm at it. Their Temperance was capped, but since the cap just recently got raised, we can still train it further. In general, I don't care too much to raise it to the higher caps, but I mean, well, to have the opportunity, I'll gladly make use of it. I mostly kind of forget that the higher caps exist when I'm playing the game, I'm gonna be honest. Burrowing Heaven is pretty forgiving to work with because it's, there's no way it's gonna escape as long as you remember its gimmick. Unlike things like most other abnormalities, which decrease on bad. I mean, it might decrease on bad, but it also increases on good and normal, so who cares? I don't think it decreases on bad, though. Trying to fish for more of Snow White's gift, too. It's twice as likely as it used to be, but it's still not really super likely. I did a bit of fishing for Judgment Bird's gift on the other Justicia wielder, Joy, off-screen too. It worked out somehow. I think it's even lower than Snow White, since Snow White's not been very kind to us, but whatever. Goom probably would have it by this point, but his glasses are locked onto his face, so they can't be replaced. And they're the same slot as Judgment Bird's gift. Judgment Bird gift is definitely better than the glasses, because it gives the glasses are like an HP bonus. The blindfold is a bonus to success rate with all repression work and a stat bonus, which is very nice. Oh well. The only things that can melt down right now are the Extraction and Records abnormalities. So, consequently, as long as we can deal with those, we'll be safe from meltdowns. We don't have to worry about things like Nameless Fetus, we haven't had to worry about forever. The only time we had to worry about it was during Tiffereth. We have to worry about Snow White's Apple. If we don't want to work it, we don't have to. Everything in Central is gone. It's honestly pretty... This is like by far the least amount of meltdowns we've had since like day 7-ish. It's about how many abnormalities we have that can melt down. It's pretty nice. I mean, we have to go further than we did on day 7. A, because of the energy requirement, and B, because we're going further anyway because we have to do Chested's Meltdown, which doesn't finish until the start of level 8. But it's nice that we don't have to worry about all the meltdowns anymore. Now a little cut. This is just for the noon. This is 1 meltdown level higher than we were earlier. Noon is red noon, but it highlighted is white and black, so once again, it's basically just normal red noon. The damage multiplier does not matter at all. I've gotten exceedingly lucky with the damage multiplier this run. Wiping out the clerks with the execution bullets just to make sure that counters don't have a chance to lower for Clouded Monk and Big Bird. I just don't want them to have a chance to roam free. Letting stuff like that happen is just the more stuff that goes wrong, the higher chance I have to restart the day, and I don't want to, because I lose an employee, and I just don't want to do that. And consequently, I'm wiping out most of the clerk population. We have to dwell about their lives. They don't matter as much as the employees. And by that I mean they barely matter at all. It's kind of funny how you go from protecting clerks and lock shield bullets to killing them on purpose to prevent the clerks' fight abnormalities from escaping, but whatever. By the way, I know the ones that I have aren't super dangerous. There are left level clerk right abnormalities. There's more than one of them. So it's a good idea to get into the habit of this, even if you don't really have super dangerous ones. If you have none, you don't have to worry about it at all, though. You can just let them die normally. It is nice that I got Big Bird pretty close to Gebura's unlock. Not quite as I had it, but I could have done Gebura first and I would have had it by then, assuming the day would have been the same. It's the abnormalities are rolled based on the day you're on, not the department that's being opened, so I mean it probably would have been. One of the Dawns got to escape because it spawned in the end of the hallway, and it took me a little while to notice the Dawns because I was focused on other things, but it just ran into records where there already were people standing, so unfortunate that Red Noon did not accomplish anything for it. I mean, it lowered our PE box count and cool health counter of 1.76 megahertz about 1, but that's not really a threat. We already have its equipment, even though its equipment sucks anyway, so I don't care. We're not going to use its equipment ever. Goomp and Joy traded places while Joy was getting the blindfold. That was me just fixing that. And now we've cut again. Everything is being multiplied except for black. This is the last level of the suppression too. It's actually very nice for us that black is not being multiplied, because black is what Burrowing Heaven does, which is what we're trying to get information and gear from. And it's what Big Bird does, which is what we're using to train our one newbie, so thanks. Chesed. Chesed's kind of going insane there, if you can see him. I mean, it's pretty big on the screen, so I guess you probably should. But I don't know, I like that animation. Very funny. After I do a certain number of works with Big Bird, I've been pivoting to Letitia. This is just to make sure that Big Bird doesn't kill the newbie, because I am trying to be careful and not have anyone die, which is a good idea. This is the first relatively clean suppression in a bit. Since like NetSack, it's the first clean one, which isn't really that long, but it was like 15 days ago, so it feels like a long time for me. But again, as long as you take your time and make sure you're paying attention to what you're ordering employees to, it's pretty easy. If you have good enough equipment, you can pretty much safely work anything that's a 1 or below 2. We don't really have great equipment on this run. We only have the 4 left gears. Or 5 now, because we made the second censored arm. We don't have it yet, or CENSORED, if you will. Even though it's more like a claw. We'll probably give it to B on the next day. I feel like, as the welfare team captain, should be the best choice for the healing weapon. B's right now using B was wearing the wolf armor, and B was using the wolf weapon just today. It used to be a different weapon, I don't remember already. But we're switching B again. B's weapon again to the CENSORED, probably, unless I change my mind. Anyway. Right, once we engage this last work, the day is over. I just have to be careful not to put them in the hallway, because I'm a bit paranoid about them being killed off screen by worms, but we should be fine because I believe it pauses immediately, so I don't really know why I'm even worrying about it. But yeah, I'm searching for something that is close to the hallway to start this. Normally, it wouldn't matter because whoever had it would be able to tank it, but again, multiplied by 5. But it doesn't even matter because the day ends anyway. Oh well. So yeah, notable day for training. Not really. Pretty average. Delilah hit the new temperance cap though, and that's about it. And one day, Delilah hit the new temperance cap. Our training is pretty efficient. We've also had some other people get to it, or get close to it, but like, nothing really super notable happened. It was a fairly simple suppression in the end. T0168, where does one go when they die? This is an HE. T175, the smiling faces are unfamiliar yet sorrowful. I think this is an LF, and if it is an LF that I'm thinking of, then it is one that I want. Well, I want all the LFs except for one right now, so T131 for Break and Ruin, the most beautiful performance begins. Oh hey, this is the LF I don't want right now. I mean, I'd take it if I rolled it, but I'd be a bit annoyed, because it is showing up exactly 1 day too early for my dumb scheme, if I ever, well, not really dumb scheme, but first be preferable words. And I have rolled a 1, and I will re-extract, because that is the only non-LF. T168 is the same thing. 00620, the many shells require one word. Manager, this is an LF, and F0137. This is an HE, so I guess I just have to roll a 2. I rolled a 3. And now it is time for Censored Lore. Any attempt to describe censored will cause severe mental corruption to both the speaker and the listener. Therefore, it is forbidden to record any depictions of the appearance of the censored. All audio and written records should be inspected to ensure that such depictions are deleted from them. All work pertaining to this deletion must be designated to level 5 or higher employees. Excerpt from audio record. It's a shame we have to send such a capable employee to you like its containment unit. Do you have any last words before proceeding? Of course, when I say last words, it's just a precautionary thing. It can't be helped. I'm the employee with the highest resistance against cognitive breakdown. I've been apathetic towards everything since I was a kid. People often said I lacked empathy and it wasn't normal. However, when I got to work here, my abnormal ability became the key to save everyone. This is something that can't ever be experienced anywhere else. Let me say this again. While it's true you have the highest resistance among employees, that's only based on human standards. If you begin to suffer from a surge of intrusive thoughts, or you decide to count down from 10 but you fail to remember what 10 even is, or feel uncomfortable regurgitation of vomit or saliva, or this place starts to feel like it's somewhere else other than the company, or you suddenly feel insignificant and think that suffocating is your only hope, you need to leave the containment unit immediately. You tell me that one more time, I'll make it 13 times you said that now. We cannot monitor you in real time. All cameras are off, and your audio record will only be updated after the work is finished. Needless to say, I'm worried about you. Why don't you repeat the instructions I gave you just a bit ago? Go in, don't do the work myself, accompany employees censored, and observe the work process. Record everything that happens, even if censored is in danger. Do not attempt to rescue unless ordered otherwise, right? Exactly. Now our contact will be cut off in 10 seconds. Good luck and Godspeed to your record. I have no regrets. I'd say I'm pretty lucky compared to the others. At the very least, I get to leave my last voice record. Well, I say last as a precaution, but... Alright, your record will be eternally archived and all our fellow employees will remember you. 3, 2, 1, end audio receiving. Randy, that looks just like our censored from long ago, doesn't it? Oh, I forgot for a moment that only I can see this. Employee censored who's with me just became censored. It looks like it can even breed. Employee censored who's with me became censored. This is just like the process of censored. I feel a little sick, but I'm good. A small censored came out of employee censored. I can't believe this. Now it's starting to censor employee censored. Employee censored is streaming like censored. The cries, can you hear them? It reminds me of censored. Sound censored. Now I see. This is our censored. This is the main reason censored exists. This is the worst thing I've seen in my life. I can't even move. Looks like censored has made me its next target. Soon I will censored too. It's getting closer. I'll put the recorder on my censored. I hope this record will help everyone. Even if we adopted the cognition filter, many of our managers have lost their minds. Half of them have gone because of censored. Even if we raise the cognition filter to its maximum setting at the risk of having our employees with their abnormalities being perceived as extremely simple objects, the manager will still be driven insane as soon as this abnormality comes into sight. We can't make our manager blind just because of one abnormality. We're stuck in a dilemma. The only solution we could come up with was the suggestion of one of our employees. We must cover the abnormality with a giant set of sensors and blurring. If a flaw in the system disables the sensors covering the abnormality, we will once again have to sincerely consider how to dispose of the manager. What a beautiful story.